Hi, guys. Welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I am your host, Savannah. We're doing another episode where we sit with a fellow athlete and we talk about their journey to the stage. So, welcome to the show. Please introduce your name and tell us where you are from.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on here. My name is Candice McMurren, and I am a nutrition coach from Canada. So I'm actually in Lethbridge, Alberta, which for people who may not know that in the US, if you've ever heard of Calgary, the Calgary Stampede, it's kind of like a bigger thing, or the Rocky Mountains. I'm about 2 hours from there. So here,
Is it?
and actually, I was gonna say here in the cold, but it's actually gorgeous. It is so nice, and it's been amazing this winter.
I was about to say, it's probably pretty cold. You probably have snow.
We have no snow, and it makes me very happy.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
I know.
It's literally like a rainy, drizzly day. It's like 30 degrees out right now in Kansas.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I could like go without a coat right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a miracle. Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm excited to chat and see where you're at now. So are you prepping for a show? Are you in an improvement season? Where are you at right now?
Yes. So currently I'm in an improvement season, and this has been the longest improvement season that I've ever had as a competitor. And I'm telling you, I love it immensely. That is one of the things that I would say, like, if we chatted about, is it's a big lesson for me. I was very, very determined to achieve my pro status. And so I kind of just went hard, went all at it. And I don't think I faced any ramifications necessarily, but did I experience the most growth that I probably could have and the most changes that I probably needed to have? No. But this has just been an incredible time to just really get into the gym and love the improvement season, and feel really good to have that time where it is not focused on having that specific goal of the stage. It is still that goal of getting on stage, but you know that all of this time is going to be so much better for you in the long run.
Oh, wow. Well, this is refreshing conversation to hear
Yeah.
because a lot of athletes, I can't wait till I get to my prep again. I'm just done with this off season. And so that's kind of where I'm at is I'm in the middle of my improvement season and it's going to be the longest one that I've had in a very long time. But
Hmm.
takes a little bit of time to kind of switch from prep mode to off season. But then once you're in it, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I was feeling so bad. You don't really realize
Yes.
how bad you were feeling until you actually feel good and you have energy and you're not hungry all the time. You're like, wait a minute, I can train so strong. I can hit PRs. I have all this energy
Hmm.
activities. My personality is back. I'm not just like a little dead robot that's just like all I can think about is cardio.
Totally. Yes, that's it exactly. And you know what? I would say, I don't know if you've experienced this yourself too, but I know for me, every time after I did a show, it literally felt like I had planned a wedding and then it was all over. And so you have this huge sense of loss. And so you almost immediately want to jump back into it to get that same feeling again, to feel like, oh, I'm working towards this very purposeful goal. But you really are working towards that goal just in a very different way, right? And so I know when I finished my last show, my coach had actually wanted me to take the entire, like, this coming year off as well. But things changed a little bit with that too. And at first I was terrified because I thought, oh my goodness, like, what is this going to look like for me? Will I kind of lose, I don't know, like, my desire to do stuff because the goal is so far away? But in any case, I was like, no, I could kind of make this go a little bit longer if I had the opportunity to. So it's been really good. And I think something that's very important, and I was talking to my coach about this too, we have to really, I think for those of us who are on social media, who are also coaches, really, really showcase all of the feelings and all of the process of that improvement season, because so many of us still showcase so much of, like, when we're in prep. But this time is a time where even your lifestyle clients need to realize that maintenance, right, or building is such an important piece. And it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. And it really goes against everything else that's being bombarded at you.
Mhm. Yep. I mean, I 100% full-heartedly would agree because prep is flashy. And I mean, even myself, it's really hard to be in a
Yeah.
bikini now because I see myself and I see the shreds are gone. And when you achieve this like crazy conditioning level, the way that you look at yourself, even when you look amazing, like obviously we don't work, we're athletes, right? We don't neat, like we're not obese, we're not really overweight, we're still in shape. Like we're athletes, right? It's just
Mhm.
different, still not as conditioned. And so in our brains, you see it as, oh, I worked so hard and now look at me. Look at
Yes,
me. And at the same time, like I feel like I'm training harder and I'm pushing harder, but I'm not doing as much cardio and I'm eating more. But
right.
so it's kind of weird because it's like, okay, in the gym, I feel so great. I feel so strong. It's just when I
Mhm.
look at what I look like, I'm like, oh, I achieved this conditioning. Why do I hold this to a higher standard than what I do now? And it's rare that there's a lot of girls that share both because I
Mhm.
know I know how it goes. It's like you want to just post your pictures where you're all lean and shreddy.
Exactly.
I get it. It is very easy to market yourself of like, look at my abs. You want my abs? But it's a lot more realistic of like, hey, this is my healthy off-season body. And
Yes.
a lot of women that are in lifestyle, if they see that, like that's their goal body. So we don't
Yes.
realize that once you start doing it for a while, but it's good that you're open to sharing it and that you're fully embracing it. So I'm glad that you're able to kind of break that mold for yourself and your clients. But you said this was your longest off season. When did it start?
So I finished my last show. I competed in July, and then I actually will not compete again until July. So it's a good amount of time. And again, our original goal had been to wait till the end of next year, but my coach and I are competing together, which is going to be super exciting in July because there was a lot of federation changes. There was a whole big thing with it, and so that kind of changed the time. But again, it's been so nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did the journey start for you?
So I originally, and this is one of the things that I really want other women to hear. So I competed before I had kids. So I was probably about 28 at that time and loved it. Then I had my kids and I bounced back pretty quickly after my first child. After my second, no. And it was years. It was years of a lot of struggle, hypothyroid, lots of different things going on. Really not good at all. And I had kind of got lost in work, all of those things. And so then it took a few years, and then I finally started getting back just into working out, losing the weight. So I lost about 40 pounds and I was thrilled with where I was at that point. And I actually didn't think I was ever going to compete again because I honestly didn't think that I could. I was like, there's no way that my body can do that again. There's no way that I'm disciplined enough. This isn't meant for me. All of those kind of limiting beliefs were there. And I even, when I look back, self-sabotage the first show that I was getting ready for. So I was supposed to compete right before things got shut down with COVID. Um, and I I remember, and this is very unlike me, but I would go out with friends, and normally I would be disciplined anyways, but I like wouldn't follow the plan totally, right? I would have a few drinks here and there, and I wasn't measuring things accurately. And I really know now, looking back, I was just like, there's no way that I can actually step on stage. There's no way. So then, if I just kind of slowly sabotage it, my coach might say that I'm not ready, and there's my out, right? And then fast forward probably a year after that, I was like, what if I actually went all in? What if I actually just bit the bullet and did it, put everything into action? What could actually happen? And then I have not stopped ever since. Like it has just been like boom, boom, boom. Because when I actually did it, I was amazed at how much your body can still change, even if you're a mom of two, even if you're super busy, even if you have been overweight, right? And you've kind of carried, like you have stretch marks or you have those kind of imperfections and stuff like that. So I just want other women to really see that that is 110% possible. And there's so many women now that are, again, mothers, they work full time, they do all these crazy things, and they compete, right? It's 100% possible.
Wow. Okay. I like that because I mean, we don't really talk about that too, like the self-sabotage that can happen in preps. And it happens to a lot of athletes. Like it's just like it's almost scarier to follow the plan, to
Yeah.
allow, like that's what I felt. It's like it's scarier for me to allow myself to be great, because what happens if I see
Mhm.
success? Do I have to help? Like, am I going to be, do I have to stay at that standard forever? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, I'm really struggling. Like, this is very hard, but if I do it, I know I'm going to be successful. But if I do it and I am successful, am I ready for that? Like,
Yes.
there's kind of like that internal conflict. It's weird, like when we talk about it out loud, but like your brain's not talking about this. It's kind of just saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, the bite's not going to hurt us."
Yes.
Da, da, da. Like you can justify anything, or oh, a cocktail's not going to hurt us,
Yep.
because it's scary to put yourself out there. And like when I really went all in and like put my all into a show, I was so emotional of the outcome, because I was
Yeah.
so proud. Like I was so proud. There was no excuses for me whatsoever. So whatever happened with placing, I just like let the cards fall. It was a very different place stepping on stage with like almost out any stress, because you
Hmm.
just knew in your heart like there was literally nothing that you could have done better. But
Yes.
there's certain preps where if you were self-sabotaging during that prep and you get on stage and you don't win, obviously, then you kind of know, okay, there was more for me to do. So
Yes.
I'm okay with this. And it's like, okay, but prep does teach you. I don't think you really realize it until you do a couple shows, until you get to the end. And if
Hmm.
you're like, wait, if I didn't adhere 100% and I still was fifth, fourth, third, something, what if I just like did a little bit more? Like, what if
Hmm.
I did that? And it just, you have to build trust with yourself a few times. Like, and it starts with, okay, I'm just going to stick to my plan one day. And then it's like, let me just see what happens if I adhere for total 1 week. And then
Yeah.
when you see progress, it's like, okay, so that works. So let me do it
Hmm.
again. And you almost like, I feel like if you're not adhering or if you're self-sabotaging, you kind of test the limits just to
Yeah. You,
see. Yeah, you're like, okay, does it really matter? Does it really matter if I have a drink? Does it really
yeah.
matter if I am 100%? And it
Mm.
does. And it does. But it takes
Yeah.
trial and error to find that out. And it takes a few shows. So how many shows have you done so far?
Okay. Now I should know this off the top of my head. So one, two, six after kids.
Oh my gosh. And how many before?
I did two, just two, and then I had a baby. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're 8 shows deep, prepping
Yeah.
ish, getting ready for your ninth show.
Yeah.
And when you were first introduced to the sport, how did that happen? Were you an athlete before, or like that first time that you were seeing this, like what was going on?
So I grew up with a dad who was like heavily invested in powerlifting and weightlifting. So that's just what I grew up with. Our family had one of the first gyms, like private gyms in the city. So weights have just kind of always been in the picture, right? But it was, um, I was, so I kind of grew up around that. My dad kind of showed me like the ropes of the basics and all those kind of things. But it was in university, I started reading Oxygen magazine, and I started to see these women because I never felt like I was like that skinny person, right? I always felt like my body shape was a little bit different, very mesomorph, right? Compared to my friends. And so all of a sudden, like I saw Monica Brandt and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can like I love that body. I love what she looks like. And so I started going like, let's just start dabbling with weights. And then I got my first teaching job, and I needed something to really kind of cope with the stress and the different things that I was kind of going through at that time. And so I signed up to work out with a trainer. And then again, you start to see these crazy changes happening when you eat differently, right? And when you start really going heavy with the weights. And so then as I saw my body start to change, he had been a competitor as well. So I just kind of threw it out there about, hey, do you think that it's possible? Like, is this something that I could do? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So we started training for that. And I like, again, I feel like some of us, it, I don't even know how to describe it. It is almost like an addiction. You like fall in love with it. Like I love everything about prep, all of that kind of stuff. To me now, it's not a hardship. It's like, no, this is fun. Like we get to see what happens here. Right. And it was kind of like that even back then. I just loved the routine of it. I loved how structured it was. I love having that focus, and I like having that thing that I'm like very strategically working towards. So that's kind of how it all started. And when after I had the kids, I think that was my biggest struggle, because I had gone so deep into that I wasn't able to go anywhere in the middle, right? Which, after having the two kids, maybe I could have dialed it back a little bit, right? And only done a certain amount of things, but my eating had been so structured, a little bit over the top, I would say. And so I thought that anything aside from that was failure, which held
When
me
you
back
say,
for a long time.
so when you say you went super deep, was that the first 2 years of like super deep as in restrictive? And then
Yeah,
anything that wasn't restrictive was bad.
it was bad. Oh yeah,
Got it. Got it.
like
So
nuts.
what were the things that you thought initially were bad?
Oh geez, extra fruit. Having any carb source aside from like oats
Oh,
or like a banana.
yeah.
Like anything that was I remember watching one of my students like eat an apple and feel so jealous that she like had this apple, and I'm like, oh well, that's not in my thing, right? I can't eat it.
That breaks my
Like
that
crazy.
breaks my heart because
Yes.
I'm the same way. I followed a meal. Well, I did macros and then I switched to a meal plan for 4-ish year. I'm still kind of on there, but then I got so obsessed with only what was on paper in black and
Mhm.
white that I
Mhm.
couldn't think logically of like an apple. That same.
Yes.
If this was not written as an approved thing on my
Yep.
meal plan, I couldn't have it, which led me to have this horrible relationship with food of, okay, anything that's not on this
Mhm.
piece of paper is bad, even if it's
Yep.
healthy, even if it's a
Yep.
different vegetable that's just not on this
Yep.
plan, it's not allowed, right?
Yep.
Or certain things. And I think I restricted myself so much to the point that I didn't understand hunger hormones. When I was actually hungry, I was just eating to
Yep.
eat. That's a process in itself to learn, am I actually hungry? That's
Mhm.
part as an athlete. That's just when you get so deep into it for so long, it's like
Yep.
how to be normal again. And normal is,
Yes.
it's really hard. And like, what does that, like, what does eating healthy mean? I think in improvement season, that's why it's important to go all in. And when you're in, stay in. But when you're
Yep.
off, get off, but stay healthy with it. Like, have the
Yes.
fruit, have the
Mhm.
have the pizzas, have the whatevers, but do it in a moderation and like learn how food works. And until
Mhm.
you understand how food works, it's gonna feel hard. And it is,
Yep.
right. Like I've done the same thing, right? I just if it was either I would be so on or I'd be so
Yep.
off. That
Yep.
happy medium point now where it is they talk about having balance. It takes
Mhm.
time to learn. So what helped you the most? Like, how are you able to come back from that? Because I know like a
Mhm.
40-pound weight loss, that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of
Yeah.
weight to lose and to stay motivated through it. So how are you able to find what worked for you?
So for me, it was exactly what kind of you mentioned. I found macros, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can actually just plan stuff in that I like. Like there really is nothing that's bad. And I always share with my clients too. My own nutrition has really developed over the time that I've started, right? So when I look back to where I started, I was planning in like pork rinds and like, lots of like broccoli with dip. And I'm trying to think of what else. Like I had bacon in there. Like I was kind of doing a bit of like a higher fat thing. But it worked for me, right? Because one, I was eating calorically where I needed to be to see loss and stuff like that. Was it as nutritionally dense as I would, hope it would be now? No, but that came over time, right? And so just like you said, you really get to learn, and that's what I find fascinating now is like seeing how my body does respond to different things, and how does my mind respond to different things too, right? Because it has a very high impact on everything. And being like, I'm going to be 42 in June, I'm like really really careful, and I watch what I eat specifically for everything, right? Like for longevity purposes, all of those things. But really thinking that um, really anything is in there. And the less that we demonize our food, the more free it's going to be. So I think that was like the huge change factor for me though, because I stopped seeing that all or nothing thing. And I really started to enjoy food again, but enjoy it in a way that also gave me results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's hard. It's so hard because, I mean, I think you have to go through periods of time. Everyone's different because I've seen people start with macros and they don't struggle, but I mean, at a certain point in prep, you do have to cut out quite a bit,
Yes.
quite a bit of things. You know, closer to you get to the show. It's not saying
Mhm.
like, oh, you can have whatever you want throughout, like for
No.
prep. During the off season. If you're not even cutting, you shouldn't be restricting your food groups like to a
No.
certain extent. Doesn't mean get McDonald's every day, but
Okay. No.
it's just like you don't have to eat chicken and broccoli 5 times a day to see
No.
results. Like you really don't. And if
No.
you think you have to, you probably need a new coach.
Yes. And and if you are a competitor too, you're going to burn yourself out. Like, because it is so like I still enjoy what I eat during prep. I think that you can kind of make it work, but I mean, it's not super fabulous, but you need to be ready for that time. So if you never deviate off of that, are you really going to be that much better eating it when you do have to for that period of time? Right. Yeah. I think that's huge.
It is. Okay, so we started our fitness journey. You did 2 shows pre-kids, and then you went hard after kids. So it's like
Yes.
you got the bug. Did you hit these shows back to back, or was this a course over a couple of years?
So it ended up being over the course of a couple of years, but a lot of them, like I was saying, like were short little blips. And what it is when I find like if I have a goal, I'm like, this is what's going to happen. So this is what we're, you know what I mean, what we're doing. And my coach is very good in that. She'll call it when we're like, okay, no, we need to like cut back on something or like we need time. But my body was still responding, so that was okay. Um, Typically for my clients, I probably wouldn't be like, let's do all these shows like, with a small little build period or improvement season. But I did it. And then, so actually what happened to my first show, my coach let me do, like, she gave me the macros and then I created my own plan from that. And this was a huge lesson for me to learn, right? Because I didn't look that great, but I mean, better than I had looked before. So I was happy with that. And I was like, okay, this is what I needed to see, that one, my body can make these changes, but two, I have so much more that I can do. So what if we did do it differently? And what if I did allow her to create the meal plan for me to follow? Because she has that much more ability to actually plan for me. So the first show I did was actually a CPA show here in Canada. And again, it allowed me to see what I really wanted to do competition wise, right? So then I went to WBFF because that was more what I thought I fit into. And so then after that, she's been kind of in control of my plan ever since, right? And what I love is each time it's just gotten that much better over and over, right? So the more that your coach learns your body, it's like, what can you not do? Like, there's so many things that can happen.
And okay, so what like division do you compete in?
So I'm bikini.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the conditioning level is kind of all over the place. So you just get to set your own conditioning level with, whatever you like to look, generally get lean-ish, but still full.
Hmm.
So, okay, with those shows, your last show, what was it last year or you said 2021?
So it was July 2023.
Okay, so that was kind of recent.
Yeah.
What was like feedback for yourself? Like, why are you taking this long of an improvement season and what were you working
Okay. My glutes are my weakest area. Like, they are they drive me absolutely crazy. Again, I don't feel like I've given my body enough food, right, in between. And it's not that I wasn't training hard. I think I was training hard, but was I training as well as I could have in terms of, executing the movement as well as I could? Probably not. So one of the things that I got from the last show, they said, you know what, if you can work with a trainer, not like every single time, but just a few times to make sure that everything is being done as properly as possible, see if that can happen. And that made a huge, huge impact, like already in the span of time that I've been off. So that's nice. But again, I needed to feed my body. Like you can't grow if you don't, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that was my biggest area of weakness. I do find, like, if I'm being completely honest, I would love to compete like NPC IFBB bikini. I love it. I just always think that my frame might not fit the category, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak to both sides, but NPC IFBB, it's not, it's easier in some aspects because it's so clear cut of,
Yes.
this is the conditioning, this is the
Yeah.
standard. It's very clear of who the winner was, right? You stand
Yep.
them next to each other. It's like, okay, obviously she had better glutes, better conditioning. It's very easy.
Hmm.
But it's the conditioning level and the level of muscle required for it is a lot more.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's something that I struggle. I know I just struggle to get lean enough for what they're wanting it to
Yes.
look like. It's not in muscle in the glutes, obviously. They just want, everyone wants a big butt. Everyone wants
Yep.
glutes to get the little tines and crisp. But I do love the look of the
Me too.
bodies that are hard. And so that's kind of what I've been doing now with doing like WBFF. It's like I just wanted to show up like what looks best on me. It doesn't really fit anywhere, but I'm gonna try it here and
Yes.
just kind of enjoy, like it's kind of, it gives you a chance to really enjoy the conditioning level that you like on yourself without, like there is some standards to a certain extent, but they're not so cookie cutter, like you have to like a copy paste of this. It's
Yeah.
more, oh, I guess that looks good on you, or oh, okay, she could be leaner here. But it's, you kind of just get a chance to really like bring a level. Like that's why I like it, the freedom from it. But as much as I've done both sides, it's a lot
Hmm.
harder on your body. So you
Yep.
have to be ready for it. And again, takes time off. I hate taking time off, but it's the best thing. I don't like, I like to compete and I like to keep doing it. I only usually do 2 shows a year
Yep.
anyway, but just focus on them. And it's just the prep part. I really enjoy the prep because it's just, you just learn so much. And especially with like posing too, like what was your background when it came to posing? Like, where did you learn
Okay.
posing?
That is, again, so my glutes are my weak area in terms of muscularity and development. And my posing is like, I would probably actually, because NPC and IFB are so streamlined, and yes, you can still like finesse it to make it fit you, you know what I mean, like to highlight your stuff, but it's like these are the poses, right? So you do them. um it takes me a lot of work to do that darn posing, right? And to look like all like, flowy and stuff like that. It it's not, that doesn't come naturally to me. And sometimes you just see those girls who maybe have like a dance background or something like that, and it's like, wow, they just, look at how well they show up. So that's still a constant area of growth for me. But again, what I love about it is when you look back at your videos from like where you began to like where you get to next, it's huge. And I've worked with different coaches, and I think actually in that aspect with posing, that can be a really good thing because each of them really brings some kind of something different to you, and they see different things in your maybe physique or how you show up, and then really help you push that out. So I love that aspect, right? Just getting different feedback that way.
Yeah, posing is everything. It's like the longer I do this, the more that I'm like, why, like posing is everything. Posing is the foundation of like how it really does, in my opinion. Like it separates like the best of the best. Like
It,
I mean, sometimes it comes down to the physique, but at the end of the day, like everyone's gonna look great on stage. Like, everyone's gonna look
mhm,
good, and then it's like, okay, who do we pick? It's like the girl who's posing better. Like really,
yep,
like who do you pick is the girl that's the most confident on stage? And I
mhm,
always think about that too. And so I've really tried to make posing more of like a focus during the prep. It's like, okay, sure, I'm spending 7 days a week in the gym, but how much time am I actually spending on this posing routine? I can't just half-ass my, it's
nope,
8 out, just give it a go, or maybe 4 weeks out, like really go for it. It's like, no, it needs to be a staple too. So posing is definitely something, like even in the off season, I do not like posing in the off season, but still
yep,
stretching and like flexibility because you can lose it so fast.
And that is something like I have my yoga wheel. I have like I do that nightly. And one of my areas too that I want to work on, I haven't done it as much as I want, but yoga, I started at least like one time per week, but I'd love to bump it up a little bit more because that is one of my weaker areas too, is just like, especially in the back flexibility, opening up my hips. I have to do that. And again, like you said, I think a lot of people do just kind of go like, okay, I'll figure it out as it comes. No, like you need to be doing it all the way through, and really in the off season too, like just every once in a while taking out those shoes and working through, because you'll start to see, especially as your body changes, you have to start shifting your posing too, because things develop differently. And so what are you going to do to highlight that?
Yes.
Yeah.
My physique always changed. It's like so much through a prep. And so your poses that you think look good on you
Yes.
in the off season do not look the same when you're
Nope.
lean. And certain things you need to kind of like tweak where, oh, I thought my booty was popping in this pose, or like I'm like twisting it.
Nope.
It's like, no, I need to exaggerate it, or maybe that like twist, I need to go the opposite direction, or I need to do different, or just like it just doesn't look good anymore. So you have to be flexible too, of being able to kind of just go with it for your posing of like, okay, have a set routine, but
Yeah.
then be able to change it. Like even on like peak week,
Oh
like
yeah.
on the very end, like once you're getting lean and like your body changes so much at the end, I swear, like the last couple of days before the show, it's like
Yep.
a roller coaster of, okay, you need to really push and really arch. It's like, wait a minute, we got all the carbs in there, and like, oh, okay, that's too much, or suck in here, like, wait, that looks kind of like skinny weird, like don't do that, or
Exactly.
stretch this way. And you just have to keep learning, and it's really fun because you can't really master it 100% every time.
No, never. No, and they're like, it's so funny the things I love it when the first little bit, I don't know if it's the same for you, like that first moment you step on stage, it's like, oh my gosh, like your breath is almost gone or whatever. But once you're in it, it's like you get almost that exhilaration, adrenaline, right? But when you're in that moment where you can actually be telling yourself, remember, you're supposed to, right? And my last show, I could hear my coach's voice, like, okay, this is right, to like really accentuate different things. And it can make all the difference.
Mhm. I blacked out. I literally ever I always get so nervous. I swear to you, I could like I'm like, I don't know who that was out there. I see pictures and I was like, I know I was in my body, but my brain
Right.
was not allowing me to recall what was happening.
Yeah.
I like did this crazy move. That was my like old routine. And then I did it. It was like, it was like a blank record of like, I don't remember how to move my arms. Like, what do I do next?
So, you know what's interesting? And you know how you forget different moments like this, but this is so when I did the first show in Dallas 2 years ago, and that was my first official, I did like the virtual show after COVID or whatever, but then I did the first show in Dallas. I completely forgot every single thing. And that had never happened to me in any other show that I had ever done. And so I remember getting out there and, when you get to your first point or whatever, completely gone. And I didn't do like my body still took over. It did not take over. And I was like, I remember that like feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have nothing in my mind right now. And I did finally like kind of do something. It wasn't good. And then by the time that I got to like my side points, things were coming back to me or whatever. But I mean, and that just goes to show, just like you were saying earlier too, like, the judges unfortunately will remember that. And that's kind of, how things go. And I didn't do well in that show, obviously, but learning that and going through it made me go, okay, so the next show that I come back to, I'm going to be like really, really hammering down this stuff, right? And making sure I know these movements and maybe feeling more comfortable with what the moves are. Cause I had felt like my routine didn't really flow for me, And so then when I worked with the next coach that I did for posing, she really, I think, again, found something that suited me a lot better. And so it did just come more natural.
Yeah, like because it's you don't I mean every show you learn, I try
Yes.
to be overly sexy and I look like I was so freaking pissed. I
Yeah.
look evil. I look angry and I'm like
Yeah.
trying to do Smy's eyes, but I look
Yes.
like I'm like
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't smile once in my routine. I was just trying so hard to be sexy and it didn't work. And that's why you don't know until you see your stage shots, but it's always
yeah,
like, okay, just think of it as a place to improve. And, worst case scenario, just smile and just do something, right?
exactly. Yeah,
That's why the muscle memory, like I definitely don't want that to happen again. So I want to make sure like I can do it in my sleep. I can do it with my eyes closed.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and
Okay.
I think with your posing coaches too, for them to find who, and I mean, you have to do this too, but like, I remember I worked with Stephanie from Dynasty for the next show, and she really did talk to me about like, okay, I see you as being very elegant. She's like, you're elegant, classy, right? So she's like, you're not the sexy type. And so she's like, don't do that, right? And then when you actually feel comfortable in what you're projecting out there, it's way better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought I had to be this like ultra sex
Yes.
symbol, like, look
Yeah.
at me. And they're like, I don't think this is working for me. It's like I need a
No.
little sassy, sexy, fun, flirty, because
Mhm.
there is different personalities on vibes and
Yes.
to find your stage personality. Some people it is that extra
Yep.
sexiness. Sometimes it is more of a confident, sassy, cutesy,
Hmm.
classy, look at me confident. So every person's posing routine is going to be completely different. And then okay, so with like the WBFF, are you in FMG now?
I
Is
am
that
FMG. Yeah.
okay? That's what I thought. So, but it's still all glam and fun and
Yes.
all the things. So when it comes to planning different looks, like how do you plan your stage look? How do you plan your outfits for the week? How do you plan your gowns? Like how do you
Mhm.
plan everything?
Okay. So ever since I started, I found that I like to kind of go with a theme. So usually the theme is kind of like color focused, right? So my last one was all royal blue. That's like my one of my favorite colors. So even my makeup and stuff like that was all focused around like adding blues and golds and stuff like that to just kind of come together. So every single time that's what I've done. Like, so I kind of started with like Barbie pink, and then I did more of like a rainbow color, and then I just kind of like went with that. Again, I would say that I, that is the evening gown piece is the hardest piece for me. Like, I love putting the suit design together. That to me is like super fun, but finding gowns I find is very difficult, and like finding one that that you're going to move very easily in, and also again is going to like really pop on stage. Because to be completely dead honest, like in everyday life, I'm a black girl. Like my workout outfits, I love black. I love wearing like black t-shirts, black whatever. So to like step it up that extra level is a challenge. And I find personally, I love classic. Like I love stuff that's slightly understated but yet very beautiful and elegant. And so it's kind of finding where you can fit that in, because I'm not one of those people personally that love stuff that is like it almost like overtakes the person. That's just not my thing.
Mhm. Yeah, the gown shopping was a nightmare for me
Yeah.
because nothing fits
Hmm.
because we're not like we're not like this and we're not
Teeny.
skinny. Like we got lats and I got
Yeah.
arms, I got shoulders and I got
Yeah.
glutes and calves and all these little dresses. I swear they're not, I'm like in between sizes and then I'm dress shopping. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna drop 10 pounds. I'm like, how do I
Yeah.
know what size I am? And then I need it to be glitzy and glammy, but not too like, I don't know, like trashy sometimes.
Yes.
Like, I think sometimes if there's like too much junk going on, I'm like, okay, that does not look cute to me. That's not like fashion.
No.
It looks ugly.
Yeah. No. And I found too, like, again, where I'm located, we're not the fashion capital here, right? So like
No.
I can't go downtown and find a dress. So you are relying again a lot on like ordering online or having like, so it can be very difficult, and even finding like jewelry that's appropriate. Luckily, my coach is in Dallas, and there is like this amazing store that she goes to that has like all of the jewelry that fits and matches, and you can have that for all of your outfits. So that's definitely helped. But yeah, it's not easy finding gowns.
Yeah.
Not at
I
all.
mean, so when because I mean, I'm a gym messy bun kind of
Yeah.
lifestyle. Like it just, it took a lot for me to just, I like that side of it. I do like getting glammed,
Mm,
but I like wearing black. And I like my outfits, like my normal outfits is kind of like a little scrubby. It's not super cute. I wouldn't consider myself super fashionable
no.
during like there's workout outfits and then there's like going out outfits. So I have two
Yeah.
wardrobes. There's not like a anything in between. So it
No.
was a chance for me to like really like do the glam up, which was fun. But then like
Hmm.
finding that outfit when I'm not exactly sure, it was hard, but it's a fun process because you're not just shopping for like your stage gown and your stage suits. You have like you could like what am I gonna wear to check-ins and what am I
Yes.
gonna wear to the galas and what am I
Yeah.
gonna wear post show? And it's fun because it's you get to be in shape too during that time. So you feel
Yes.
so good in whatever you end up wearing. Like
Hmm.
whatever you end up wearing, you're like, it looks amazing on you. You're lean, you're
Yeah.
tanned, you're glammed, you got your hair, and it's just like a fun weekend. And it's not just one day, it's like multiple days. So it's always like a fun time. It's like whenever you go into your stow weekend.
Yeah, see, and I would say that's the one thing that I really love having done the CPA experience. Again, love CPA, IFBB, all that stuff. But I feel like for us, we get to like really live in it for a long period of time. And it is like a bigger celebration of all the stuff that you've done, you know? And I even love the fact like when you're walking around the hotel, you're not in, your joggers, like you're presenting yourself at a different level. And I do really like that part too. Like I think that's smart, you
Yeah.
know? Hmm.
Because I used to feel like, you work really hard and you would get 30 seconds or less on stage and then it's over. And it's really showed, you'd have your check-ins or whatever, but it wasn't really a big deal. You go into check-ins, you check into the show for like 10 seconds and then you go into your hotel room and you hermit
Yeah.
yourself. You don't really talk to anyone. You never really meet anyone. You don't get a chance to mingle because they are your competition and you're just so
Mhm.
stressed out. You're so depleted and you're just tired and just stressed. And then you get to show, it either goes your way or it doesn't. And then you're either super happy or not happy. And then it's over in like 10 seconds, it's done. I feel like you get like FMG, WBFF, like other different organizations, like you're getting a lot of stage time and it's becoming an event and it's a weekend. It's okay. You get to mingle with people. It is a little bit smaller. So you do have a chance to actually like network with the athletes that you're meeting and like really get to know these like girls that you're competing and some guys, but mostly the women that you're
Yeah.
competing with. I like that because I didn't feel so scared going into show day because I had
Nope.
seen these 2 to 3 days prior. And it's like, oh, hi, like we've had conversations. And so you go back and you're all kind of doing the experience together. Like, especially as like a first time athlete stepping on the stage, it's like, okay, it's your first show, it's your first show, it's my first show, it's whatever. And then you're just kind of seeing everybody and then we're all going through it together. And I think it's really fun.
And I would say I've had the same experience and I've like actually made good connections with other women. And even though we are competing with each other, it never felt like that. Honestly, like I did not ever feel once at any of the shows that I've done that people are like, giving you like the look over or
Yeah.
anything. I'm
Yeah,
like, we're all literally here together and they're like genuinely happy for you when they see you win. Like it's like, oh my gosh, like you're just like so pumped. It's a very different atmosphere and I love that aspect 100%.
I do too.
um yeah, and even like you said, being able to network, and I'm very excited with FMG. One of the things that I always, because I always kind of have that business mind kind of going too, I'm like, I think there's so much potential here for, an expo type feel with like, booths set up and different companies being there and all of those things. Why would you not do it? Like, I think it can only grow other businesses and our own businesses that much more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stage for everyone to compete. And there's
Yes.
so many athletes that do compete that, I mean, you can really find a place that you can get everything that you want that checks your boxes. If you
Hmm.
like the look of shreds, there's a place for you. If you like gowns, if you like costumes, if you like that kind of flowy posing, there's a place for you, which is just really nice. It's just like what you can be a competitor at any time, but you do need to take those long improvement seasons. It comes down to that foundational thing. So yes, you do have fun for a show weekend, but it's only one weekend or one day is your actual show day. The rest of the time, you got to build yourself up, just like
Yep.
you've been doing, taking time to feed, taking time to grow, taking time to work on
Mhm.
those improvements. So anyone that's scared to take an improvement season or maybe wants to compete, like what advice would you have for somebody?
Um, for the improvement season, I would say remember the big goal. So one of the things that I talk to like my athletes that do compete is remember like our why, like why are we doing this? If you really want to compete and you want to do, better than the last time you did, which is what we all should be kind of aiming for, then every single thing that you're doing right now is leading up to that, right? So like lean into it, enjoy it and embrace it and really look for those things that you are seeing that are showing you the growth, right? Whether it is like, oh my gosh, like I have so much more energy for my kids, right? For my family. And I need to be in this season for that. Look at the improvements that I'm making in the gym in terms of like strength gains and being able to show up and like, again, not just like push through because you know that you have that like show coming up. It's like, no, I actually have fuel in the tank and I can do this. And I also look to whatever I'm trying to grow towards, I try and look into people who are doing what I want to do, right? So I look to other examples of women that are really, really embracing the improvement season. And I'm like, look at them, like, look at how they're showing up. And so then it just kind of feeds me and also confirms like there's a purpose behind this and it's going to work out for you, right? Um, and then also for anybody with the show thing, be really honest with your coach, right? And hopefully you have a coach too who is honest with you about what it will actually entail. Because I think some people, and I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from competing, but sometimes people have an idea of what it's going to look like. And then once they get into it, they're like, holy crap, this is not what I want to do, right? So if you're really, really honest about what it will look like, what it will take, know that it's 100% possible and that most of it is all in your mind. So whether you will be successful or not with it is if you make that decision to really just embrace it, go all in and, again, be able to step on stage knowing that you in your own way, in your own life, did everything that you could do to be up there. Right. And that's going to look different for everybody. But if you can say, and I know that you said this before, and I always want to say the same thing for myself, like I know that I put in everything that I could to every workout that I did, right? And some days may not have been that awesome, but I still showed up and I still did what was in my tank at that time, right? I ate all the meals, I did all the stuff, and I'm proud of what I've brought to the table, right? Um, and also know that really, and you hear it all the time, it's like cliche, but you are competing with yourself, right? Like regardless of how you place, you're still competing with yourself. And that was one of the best things that I ever got from my coach was like, be the person that keeps showing up every single time because she said a lot of people will win and then like they did it, check the box, they're gone, whatever happens. But look at the people who have repeatedly come back again and again and again. And she's like, it's worth so much when you do that and when you've kept coming back, right? And that I don't know, that's just what I've tried to do and what I would say for other people as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot because you can get caught up in this chase to the top, and I gotta beat everybody, and I have to be the best, and you're gonna be disappointed, right? I mean, maybe you do it, maybe that's gonna work for you, but for a lot of athletes, it's not like you're going to lose sometime. It's really rare that you can go undefeated throughout your whole entire career. It's
Exactly.
subjective, guys. Like this is a beauty pageant. This is a who do we like better? who
It is.
gave us the warm and fuzzies this day. All right. It's not as clear as the person that scored the most baskets in the game
Yep.
wins. It's not. It's I liked her hair today. I liked her it factor. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
I like the way she moved her arms. Like there it
Yeah.
really does come down to like these small little things, and you can just control what you bring to the stage. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. Show to show, the only thing that's consistent is yourself. So if you look at your past versus where you're showing up the next time, as long as you can say that you're happy with the package that you're bringing and you
Yeah.
found some improvements, whether it was mental or physical
Mhm.
or posing or presentation or tan or hair or makeup, whatever it was, as long as you feel like you made a successful progress in the right direction, like that's where it really comes. Like that is why we get addicted to this. This is where we
Exactly.
keep going. We want to keep doing it again. We're crazy. We love to diet and suffer and
Mhm.
have fun, and we turn it into a fun mental game, and we just keep
Yes.
going. So I love that. And is there anything about your journey that we haven't really highlighted that you want to make sure that we talked about?
I don't know. I don't think so. I would just, again, for moms out there too, like there's nothing better than showing your kids that you like set a goal and you achieved it. And I hope that my kids, like they've unfortunately never been able to see me compete. Hopefully one day they will. But I mean, they've seen me go through every single prep. They've seen me do the whole process. My son has critiqued my posing, which is always fabulous, right? But I want them to get that same idea that whatever they set their mind to, and my daughter is doing this in her own right now with the stuff that she's doing, you know, you're gonna fail, you're gonna, fall flat on your face sometimes things aren't gonna work out, but it's about, if you have that goal, continually showing up for yourself and seeing it through. And I just, again, if somebody is really wanting to do this and they're like, I'm ready to do it, you're gonna have doubts, you're gonna have some hiccups, you're gonna have some times where you're like questioning everything, but just keep seeing it through, keep pushing, and you've got this. Like that's one thing I'd really want people to know.
Yes, I love that. Okay. And our final question, are you team cupcake or are you team protein shake?
Oh geez, protein shake.
Okay. And what flavor and what brand?
Oh my gosh. True Nutrition marshmallow treat.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's so good. It is so good. And I have a Ninja Creamy. So
Yes.
like for me, all of my protein shakes are like ice cream. So I'm like, this is heaven for me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, game changer. I've been doing chocolate, and I took lip candy canes and I'll crush them up and I'll like put those as my little mix in. So it's like a chocolate mints little situation. It's like it's so good. It's so good.
You can't go wrong. Like you literally can't go wrong with that
The
machine.
possibilities and flavor combinations are endless.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time and sharing your story with us. So if anyone wants to, touch base with you or work with you, where can they do so?
The easiest place is on Instagram, and that's Candice McMurren Fat Loss Coach. And I'm also on Facebook, just Candice McMurren, right on there. But Instagram is the easiest way to go.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and we'll get your episode up next year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Of course.